I was like, they were like, what are you going to do? And I said, I'm going to be a plumber. Anyway, um, yeah, we're back now. But yeah, I have some at the show. Sure, you could stop by, or I could try to remember to drop it off. Absolutely. Oh, that was very Jewish of you. Oh, okay, no problem. I have a few left. So let's coordinate. I'll be around tomorrow and Friday, right? Yeah, I think Steve, you're supposed to come and cook for us at one point, if I remember correctly. Oh, that comes first. That comes first. Okay. So I'm going to jump back into the parsha. So, hey guys, welcome. Shalom. Uh, welcome back. So the imagery. Oh, Ron's here. The imagery of uh, Rivka having two children inside of her struggling is really the story of our lives. And there's only one way for it to end, and that is if we allow the godly soul to rule and use the animal soul as a tool to serve God. But if you go the other way, a person will never could truly be happy because the godly soul will never stop yearning for something greater, right? So that's that. But we start the Torah portion with the following words: Isaac had the son. Isaac was the son of Abraham, and Abraham fathered Isaac. All right. Now, in the Jerry Springer show, they always want to know who's the dad, right? The commentaries in this week's Torah portion say that in the ancient world, people wanted to know about Isaac. Who's the dad? Is Abraham really the dad? And they mocked Abraham. Why? They said Abraham and Sarah couldn't have children for all these years. And all of a sudden, Sarah gets captured by Avimelech. Do you remember that 2 weeks ago? And then right after that, God blesses Abraham and Sarah, and they have Isaac miraculously. What do you think the skeptics in the what do you think the skeptics in the world were saying? Avimelech's the dad. Jerry, right? I never watched the show, by the way. So the Torah, this week's Torah portion begins with the words, Isaac is the son of Abraham, and Abraham fathered Isaac. Why is it saying that? It's to tell everyone, don't have any questions. In fact, a miracle happened. I guess it's not much of a miracle. In fact, they say that Isaac looked exactly like Abraham. You know those people, you see them in the street, you go, I know your father, I know your mother. You don't even have to ask them what's your name. Why? They look exactly like their parents. Isaac looked exactly like Abraham. Now, other commentaries dig a little deeper and they say, why is the Parsha starting? Isaac's the son of Abraham, and Abraham's fathered Isaac. Why is it saying that? Because some people would say maybe Isaac and his father Abraham weren't on good terms. They weren't on talking terms. Can anyone think of an episode that may have happened? Yes, the Akedah, right? People were saying Abraham was going to slaughter, Abraham was going to sacrifice Isaac, and he didn't. And then later, Isaac didn't think highly of his dad. People might say such a thing. So the Torah says that Isaac, Yitzchak, Isaac was the son of Abraham, and Abraham was the father of Isaac. They were father and son, and they were proud of each other, and they walked around together. There was nothing to be ashamed of. So these are the reasons why the Torah portion begins in this double language that seems to be a little extra. Okay, she has twins in her belly. She gives birth. Rebecca gives birth Rebecca gives birth to twins. And it says Esav was born first, red, covered in hair, and ruddy. That's how he looked on birth. And Yaakov was born afterwards, and he came out holding on to the heel of Esav. Remember this story? And he was named Yaakov, which means heel. The two boys grew up very, very differently. One liked to stay in the tent and study Torah. That was Yaakov. The other one liked to go out in the field and go hunting. I have to be careful because I have members of our shul that are fishermen and hunters. I don't want to put down the hunters. But Esav enjoyed the outdoor, the rugged. In fact, we read a story that Esav comes home from the field and he's exhausted and he's hungry and he feels like he's going to die. And Yaakov was cooking some lentils. Now, why was Yaakov cooking lentils? Because Abraham passed away on that day. It was the day of their bar mitzvah. They were 13 years old. Their grandfather passed away. And we know the age-old Jewish tradition, we eat things that are like round, like chickpeas or lentils at a yard site, at a shiva, to remind us the cycle of life. So he was cooking these red lentils, and Esav comes in exhausted. He says, "Give me some of that stuff." And he says, "Pour it into my mouth." He says, "I will, but you got to sell me the birthright." He says, "What do I need the birthright for?" "Well, if you want your ancestors to pray to God in the holy temple, sell the birthright." Esav says, I don't need that. You could have it. Give me the beans." So you ever heard the expression, he sold it for beans? Well, that's where it began. He sold it for beans. His brother Esav, the wild brother, sold it to Yaakov, his younger brother. He says, "You could be the firstborn." They were really twins, but you could be the firstborn. Later, that becomes a subject of a big, big dispute, as we'll learn later. Now, why did Esav come from the field exhausted? Why was Esau exhausted when he came from the field? The Medrash says he committed 5 major sins on that day. He dishonored a betrothed maiden. He committed murder because he killed King Nimrod on that day. By the way, he was 13 years old. He denied God. He denied the resurrection of the dead, and he spurned his birthright, according to the Talmud. Do you know who King Nimrod was? Do you remember that? He was the one that tried to kill Abraham years earlier. Yeah. He was the one that forced Abraham to bow down to an idol. And Abraham didn't. And he said he threw him in a fire, and Abraham miraculously survives. Um, yeah, yeah. Now, one of the things, and then here's another interesting thing. Yaakov loved Esav. Rebecca loved, sorry, Yitzchak, Isaac loved Esau. Rebecca loved Yaakov. Now the question is, why would Esav be loved by the father Isaac? If he was such a wild man, why did he love that son? Because he was his firstborn. Was he giving him a lot of nachas? Running around the fields, killing people? So the Torah says he loved Esav for he fed game in his mouth. Esav would bring back steaks and delicious food from hunting, and he would feed Yitzchak, Isaac, his father, and that's why he loved him. So, are we saying that one of our patriarchs loves one of his sons more because he was a good barbecue griller? Does that sound right? I'm not going to tell everyone Ron's theory about Isaac right now. I spoke about that in my other class. I said someone once told me he thinks that you know Isaac was not all there, but we'll talk. What? That was your story, but we can't say that about the patriarchs. So what does it mean he fed him game in his mouth? Is it talking about steaks? So the sages say, no, not only that, more than that. With his mouth, he played games with his father to make him think that he was righteous. He would ask his father questions about tithing. When I tithe grain or salt or sugar or like small things, do I do, do I do it by weight? Do I do it by kernels? You don't have to. Well, grain. So he would make his father think he was so religious, but it was all an act. He would go out and he'd go back to hurting people. So some say his father had no idea what was really going on. Don't forget, Isaac was blind at this point. How did Isaac in the Bible get blind? There are different opinions. Some opinions say that his son Esau's wives, would offer sacrifices to idols and the smoke blinded him. Others say that when he was on the altar and Abraham was trying to sacrifice him, the angels cried tears into his eyes and blinded him. Yet another, he's not, that's more spiritual, doesn't make sense to you. Okay. Another opinion says God did this on purpose so that Jacob should get the blessings. But he could have done it another way without making him go blind. Yet another opinion says he God caused him to go blind so he should never know how wicked his son Esau was. It would just hurt him too much. It was less painful to be blind than to find out his son Esau was such a wild maniac. 4 explanations. I'll let you choose the one that resonates with you better. Okay. You know what? I'm going to do this a little different. This is a cute way to. Let me just repeat it quickly because it's a nice way. Okay. Why in the Bible did Isaac like Esau more than he liked Jacob? I'm going to give you 4 explanations and type in the comments which number you like the best, which answer you like the best. Number 1, the wives of Esau would offer sacrifices to idols, and the smoke went into his father's eyes, causing him to go blind. That's number 1. Number 2, when Isaac was on the altar being sacrificed by Abraham, well, he was being tested by God, the angel cried tears into Isaac's eyes. That's answer number 2. Tell me if you like that one. Answer number 3, God didn't want Isaac to ever see that Esau was so rebellious, so he made him go blind. Number 3. Number 4, God wanted the blessings to go to Jacob, so the only way he was fooled is by being blind. 4 explanations. Let us know which one you like. What? Oh, what's your question? Yes. Yes. Well, it was idea. Becky J says it's just very irritating how disrespectful some people can be to the rabbi. Sorry. Thank you, Becky. The good news is I missed all the comments because I wasn't looking at the screen. So ignorance is bliss. Okay. Yes, it wasn't just Jacob who played a trick. It was Rebecca too. So let's talk about that story too. Oh yeah, she don't like that, right? So Isaac wants to give the blessings to Esau. Rebecca wants to give the blessings to Jacob. So what happens? Since he's blind, Rebecca goes to Jacob, and takes the skin of sheep, puts it on his hand, and prepares food. And he goes in and he pretends he's Esau, and his father gives him the blessing. And the famous words he feels his hand and he says, "Hakol kol Yaakov v'hayadayim yedei Esau." The voice is the voice of Jacob, but the hands are the hands of, which is sort of like an expression for the Jewish people. Our strength is not always our hands. It's greater is our voice. Now, the intention was our voice in prayer, our voice in Torah study. Some people would say, we're better negotiators than we are. We don't necessarily own play on the. We don't necessarily play on the football team. We're better at buying the football team, but that has to do with negotiations. But anyway, I don't want to. All my anti-Semitic friends are going to jump on with their anti-Semitic stuff. So I'm going to leave that alone for now. My anti-Semitic friends, they're not my friends. Yeah. So this story is very hard to understand. Why did she have to trick her why did she have to trick her husband? Why did he have to trick his father? Why couldn't she just have a conversation? So she was really worried that Esau is going to end up with the blessings. Why would Isaac want to give the blessings to Esau if he was such a wild man? And if Isaac was so holy, he had to be all knowing and sort of know what's going on. So you're saying he tricked him, but that takes away the idea that Isaac's a prophet of God. But maybe he was just being blindsided on this detail. Yes, what were you going to say, Steve? Right, right. So very good, Steve. I'll tell you one one of the Hasidic explanations is that Isaac knew Esau was trouble, but he also dug deeper and he knew that Esau's potential was so great. If Esau harnessed that chaotic energy that he had and directed it towards making the world a better place with his tenaciousness, with his chutzpah, amazing things would happen. But sometimes it takes a Jewish mother to know that that's a very good and potential. But our boy is a wild boy and it's just not happening. She had the prophecy. Oh, that's interesting. Because they said two nations. Yeah, very good. Very cool. That's interesting. So she understood what will happen. Isaac understood what could happen. And really, we see this in Isaac's his profession. What was Isaac's profession? Does anyone know? What did he do? A well digger. Very good. He dug wells. We don't read much about him. He dug a lot of wells. And he gave them back he renamed them what Abram named them. Remember, that's this week's Parsha. Very good. So he dug wells. And what does it mean to be a well digger? It means somebody looks at a patch of dirt. Everyone else says that's dirt. And a person says, no, there's water here. You got to dig. It takes a lot of faith. It takes a lot of hard work. It takes a lot of uncovering. And you could reveal the life-nourishing water. That's who Isaac was. He saw people. And he had a way of seeing their potential, not giving up until he brings out the beauty of their soul, a light that they perhaps never even knew that they had. Isaac looked at Esau and said, yeah, Esau's a wild man, but Esau has a lot of potential. If we can only get Esau to be on the right path, oh, that would be wonderful. Hey, thanks for the gift. That was very nice. But my friends, it takes a Jewish mother to know practically what the matzav is, as they say. You know what matzav is? The situation. I'm very inspired by Sunday. By the way, Sunday I was at the international gathering of Chabad rabbis. Someone just gave me one of those cowboy hats. Like digital, you can put digital hats on people in the video. Yeah, it's like 3D. It's pretty cool. So I just got like a big cowboy hat. But at the international gathering of Chabad rabbis, we heard from Rabbi, which you went to in the past. We heard from Rabbi Raskin, who's the Chabad rabbi in Jamaica. They just experienced a terrible storm. Yes, they do. Almost everywhere you could go, there's a Chabad rabbi. Many. If you go, there are many. Yeah, I'll hook you up. Tell me when you go, I'll connect you. I know a guy. I'll hook you up. So he was saying how he decided to stay during the storm because he didn't want to go. He didn't want to go back. He didn't want to leave. They were saying you better vacate. It's gonna be very bad. But he said no. They said, why are you staying? He said, my father was the Chabad rabbi in Morocco, and all the Jews were leaving. And they asked him, when are you going to leave and go to Israel? So the Rebbe sent him to Morocco. And he says, as long as there's one Jew still in Morocco, I have a responsibility to be there for them. And so Rabbi Raskin says that if there's a storm and there's still people here, I have a responsibility as the rabbi in the city to be. And he stayed. And that storm was bad. It took out a lot of the city. It washed away a lot of Chabad house. But he mentioned the story from Rabbi Jonathan Sachs. Did any of you watch this online? You know the story. Yeah, and what was the story? The story was um, Jonathan Sachs once said to the Rebbe, I can't do something because the situation I find myself in doesn't allow it. And the Rebbe said, a Jew never finds themselves in a situation. You get yourself in a situation. You could always get yourself out of a situation. Um, and like the parting words were, our job is to make a situation. And I thought that was very, very powerful. Make a situation, macha situation. Um, okay, I missed a lot going over here. We have 613 mitzvahs yet. Tell us what you believe about the goy. Um, about non-Jewish people. We believe that they are created in God's image. They have a soul, and God gave them a mission, and in this world to keep the 7 Noahide laws and make the world a better place. And if they do, they earn a place in heaven. In fact, I teach a class to just non-Jewish people every Monday night on my other channel called Humans for Noah. Is that what you were looking for? Or maybe you were thinking something else. All right. Anyway, so this is what happened. Yitzchak saw the potential in Esau, but Rebecca knew it's not happening. And if you look at every situation in Jewish history, it was really the Jewish women who guided the big decisions. Sarah said to Abraham, send Hagar away. Abraham went to God, what do I do? Listen to your wife. Think about it. Like all the big, right? All the big decisions somehow were ultimately controlled and guided by the Jewish women. And this is one of them, where if it was up to Isaac, the blessings would have gone to Jacob. Now, it's a little more complex than this. Our sages tell us there was actually initially supposed to be 2 kinds of blessings, 2 blessings, not just one. A blessing for the spiritual part of Judaism, which included the Torah, the temple, the mitzvot, the commandments. But the other part was the wealth part of the blessing. And that's abundance and wealth. And God promised both to Abraham's descendants. So originally, Yaakov was going to take the blessing of the spirituality, and Esau was going to take the blessing of the wealth and support his brother. But Rebecca basically realized that the way Esav is going, he'll never support his brother. He'll just keep everything for himself. So she had to intervene and make sure Yaakov got both. And that's why when Esav came and found out his brother fooled him, he says, Father, but don't you have a blessing for me? Like, what about the money? Anyway. Rebecca disagreed. Both worlds must be given to Jacob. They cannot be two departments. For the material world cannot be entrusted to a materialist, only one who is connected to the divine wisdom and can know how to make proper use of God's world. Only one who possesses a spiritual outlook and a value system will be able to master the physical reality rather than be mastered by it. Then Esav, he gets very angry. And he says in his heart, may the days. So Esau is very angry that his brother stole the blessings. And in his heart, he says, may the days of the mourning for my father arrive. Then I will kill my brother Yaakov. He was so angry, he wished for the day that his father dies, so he could finally take revenge on Jacob. But why did he have to wait till Yitzchak dies? So the conventional answer is he didn't want to kill Yitzchak when his father was alive. He didn't want to break his father's heart. But there's actually a more practical answer. Yaakov would study Torah at all times. And when one studies Torah, they can never be killed. There's only one time that you have to stop studying Torah. God forbid, if a person has lost someone in their family, between the time the person dies and the burial, one's not allowed to study Torah. Not supposed to pray, not supposed to put on tefillin. It's like an in-between time. So Yaakov would stop. If Isaac died, Yaakov would not be able to study Torah, and the Torah wouldn't protect him. Welcome. It's 2028. Yeah. You were sleeping for 3 years. Take some food, Mike. Take some food. So, and we have a story like that in the Talmud. Was it Rabbah? I think it says Rabbah. He wouldn't stop studying Torah for a second. In order for the angel of death to kill him, he had to cause a tree to fall out outside. Rabbah stood up and looked. Was it Rabbah? I think it was Rabbah. Maybe I'm mixing it. So he had to run outside and look. He saw a big noise. He stopped studying Torah. So the good news is, as long as you're studying Torah and you're in class, you're going to be safe. Don't leave. Stay studying Torah with us forever. Anyway. Any questions? We have a question. No questions in Judaism. You have to blindly believe. I'm just kidding. That was a joke. We love questions. Was he reading the future? Because, well, we believe that the Torah has the past, present, and future in it. Does God always reveal what the future is to everyone? I'm not sure. Yeah. Then what? Oh, you mean like literally the Torah. So the question is, did he actually study the Torah the way we know it, or was he studying the concepts like the mitzvahs of the Torah? It's a good question. I'm not sure what that means, studying the Torah. Because then he would know everything that's happening in his own life. He'd be reading the story that's happening right then and there. I would think that he wouldn't be privy to that information, right? Yeah. All right. Is the Talmud considered an actual religious text? Is it the law? And if not, why? A lot of times people ask this question because they read misquotes on the Talmud and they're like, hoping Jews don't believe these things. So they say, make sure the Talmud's not so important. But the Talmud is actually very important. It's not the Torah, it's not the Bible, but it is a a it's a recorded conversation of 500 years of history and 800 sages debating every topic in Judaism, life, and beyond. So there's a lot of wild opinions. Not everything there is actually accepted by anyone, but every opinion is written down and recorded. And that's why people love to find a line in the Talmud and misrepresent it or take it out of context and say, Jews believe, yada, 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 yada. But it's just, we don't believe it. Any of the things that you're worried about, we believe. Can you say happy birthday to Marshall Andrew? Happy birthday, Marshall Angelo. Andrew, happy birthday. Mazel tov, until 120 and beyond. Uh, what else? Hashem didn't write the 613 laws, he wrote 10. So it's a big misconception. There are the 10 big commandments, but the Torah does have 613 laws. And as Jewish people, we have to follow them all. Today, we can't follow them all. And that's because we don't have a holy temple, and some of them are kind of not relevant for right now. Someone has their microphone on. I'm not sure. Sybil, is it your microphone? If we could, maybe with someone else, forgive me, I don't know who, we could shut the microphone. Thanks. I guess not. Okay. What other questions do we have here? Hey, I know you. Oh, very nice. Thank you. Sahaba. Which Sahaba are you? My bar mitzvah is in 4 months. Jacob, the goat, '09. That's right, '09. No, it would make you 16. Am I miscalculating? Happy bar mitzvah, Jacob. Okay, guys. Thanks for joining. Does the Torah talk about alien? Here's the last question. Does the Torah talk about aliens? So there are some strange midrashim that do talk about like other worlds and stuff, but I believe that normally it's referring to like a spiritual world, not a physical world. This question was once asked by the Lubavitcher Rebbe, and he answered that there is no source in Jewish teachings of another planet with intelligent life. Perhaps maybe life, but not intelligent life. And the reason is God created all the galaxies and all the worlds, spiritual worlds as well, to revolve around our world, where is the main game of trying to make the world a better place. Now, we don't see any reference to that. But if you see aliens, let me know. Yeah, all possibilities. Saying, so do they actually exist? Sure. What a mensch. What a mensch. You you are so lucky. You are very lucky. God bless you. That's great. I wish someone knocked on my door and cleaned out my humidifiers. Can you give me your neighbor's number? I wanna, all right, goodbye to the people on TikTok. See you next week, 7:30. Um, take care. I'm not going, I'm staying with you. Hello.